My mission in life, which took a while to figure it out, is to empower women through fitness and health and everything in between. And I say that because everything in between part is, the mental health part, the mindfulness, the soulfulness.
Welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for making time to come on to the Dalitalks show. How's your morning so far?
Busy but amazing.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Great way to start. So I wanted to bring you on because I've been following you for a while now, and I love your podcast. I love your messages on Instagram, and I think people should know who you are and what you do. So can you please give us a little intro and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So my name is Lisa. I am a certified running coach, nutrition coach, and life coach and podcaster. And honestly, my mission in life, in which it took a while to figure it out, is to empower women through fitness and health and everything in between. And I say that because the everything in between part is, the mental health part, the mindfulness, the soulfulness, that has to also be exercised. It's not just the body, it's everything, our mind. So I really try to empower women through either my coaching or through the podcast, and letting them know that they're not alone, validating them, giving them that voice. But that's what I do. As far as who I am, I mean, not only am I that, I'm Latina. I am a single mom to a 10-year-old going on 30. um, her name is Bella, and it's has been an amazing journey with her, good and bad, and it's still amazing. But that's pretty much what I do, or who I am in a nutshell.
Wow, thank you so much. Yeah, so you mentioned that you are a certified running coach. You're also a life coach, nutrition coach. So you offer a lot of services. So did you, before becoming an adult, did you ever see yourself doing what you're doing now?
Are you kidding me? No, no. And it's like, and it's amazing because you hear so many people who are like, when I grow up, I want to be and you're like, yeah, I remember that. I initially, when I wanted to go to med school, and I was just because I wanted to help people, and I had the opportunity to live in outside of the United States at a very early age. My dad worked for General Electric, and he was a field engineer, so we got to travel a lot. And in some of the places that we lived in, there was poverty, and I couldn't understand, like, how is it that nobody's helping these people? How is it that they're just, I don't get it. In America, we don't realize, how much, assistance we get. In other countries, there's like nothing. And that experience had me thinking I wanted to help people. So I wanted to be a doctor. That's what I thought. Went to college. It was so hard. Got accepted to medical school. And when I got accepted to medical school, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if that's really what I want to do. And I'm going to say that I was lost for a while. And then I went and got my master's degree in psychology because I was so, like, the mind, and I was so enthralled in that whole topic. And I thought to myself, that's another way I can help people, because here I'm thinking helping people is medically. Well, you can help people in other ways, besides being a doctor. So I became a therapist, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved, you know, giving the space for people, to speak, to validate. It was just a very rewarding um career, I would say. And then I wasn't able to do it anymore because I had my daughter. So there it stopped, right? So, it took a while to finally think to myself, did I want to go back to therapy? No, I didn't want to go back to that, but I wanted to help women. I started thinking I wanted to help women. And when I got a divorce, I started really focusing on me, on who I was. Who am I? Who am I as a woman? You know? Who am I? And then as that journey, besides, thinking to myself, who am I had a huge weight loss transformation. And I thought, okay, I'm going to live my best life ever. I'm going to live my best life ever. Like, oh my God, this is an opportunity to really, really work on me, my issues, my psychological issues, and I say that meaning like, all the issues that I have, growing up with a dad who wasn't always around and, and just dealing with all of those things, as well as dealing with, having this divorce and not having a marriage that I thought was going to be forever. So I worked on everything. And through that, that's where I became this person who was like, you know what? I'm going to help women not only physically, I'm going to also help them, with their emotional growth as a life coach and providing that podcast to empower them and just have this discussion and with all these women from all different backgrounds and just like rising. And that's what I'm doing right now.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of the backstory, because when people watch this, my intention is so that they understand that people don't always know exactly what they're going to end up doing. I think that's the majority of us. And throughout our lifetime, we change, and so do our desires and our careers. And it's okay, because some people see that as a failure, whereas I see it as a triumph, as a step closer to finding who you truly are, and that it's okay to change who you truly are as well. So you mentioned you had the opportunity to travel and see all these different walks of life. Um, I think that it's a powerful thing, right? The ability to be able to travel with your children, and not everybody has that luxury. But thank you for sharing that, because you know what? I think that people underestimate the power of travel, or the power of exploring even the surrounding areas from where you live. And you have areas in almost every city where you have several blocks that are really pretty, everything looks perfect, and then you have the other blocks where it's like a totally different city, but it's only maybe a few blocks away, and the experience of that person can be completely different just because of that. And it can lead you to do something, like if it shapes what you do in life. And so that was a perfect example of what you just shared. Also, you mentioned that you wanted to be a doctor and you got into medical school. Let me tell you, congratulations. I know that was years back, but congratulations, because we're talking about um, medical school, which is something hard. Number two, you're a woman, and there's always resistance in places that are dominated by males. So, can we talk a little bit about that experience for those who might be thinking, hey, maybe I do want to go to medical school? What tips can you share with them about that?
Oh, wow. It's not easy. It's really, really hard. And not to say that's impossible. It's just you have to want it so badly. And that was what stopped me because I said to myself, "Do I really, really want this really bad?"
Mm,
And the answer was no. It
uh-huh.
was no.
Mm,
And, I have a lot of colleagues, friends who became doctors. We all started together and they went to medical school. And I will have to say, and I'm not trying to knock off that career, but there's a large group of them who wish they didn't go to medical
mhm,
school because it's not what you think. You think you want to help people, but it's a very daunting task. You don't there's we talk about doctors that create these relationships with their patients. It's hard. You are dealing with so much. And I think that for me, it wouldn't have worked because I want to create these amazing relationships with people. And you don't have that time because you literally have this schedule that is like back to back to back patients. Now, that's if you're in private practice. Now, if you're working in a hospital, forget it. If you're working in an emergency room, forget it. I mean, you are there literally like go, 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 go. Now, for some people, that's what they want to do. And I have friends who are doctors that are amazing and they live it, they breathe it, they eat it. And they're amazing physicians. Now, there are other ones who did it and now they do private practice and they go into the office when they want to, you know? So I would say that you have to want it bad. And what are you willing to do? You know, how bad do you want it? And I mean, I can't tell you sleepless nights, studying, just a lot of work. And if you want it that bad, you can make it happen. Listen, I was told I couldn't even go to college. I was told good luck. You know, you come from a single parent home. I don't know if you're gonna, your grades are A, B, you're not a 99.9% student. Good luck in college. I proved them wrong.
Wow.
Okay. Got accepted at RIT. Really amazing school. Hard school. Okay. Got accepted. I graduated from RIT. Okay. And I told myself, I'm not going to let anybody tell me I can't do something. But even with that being said, I also wanted, I needed to want it. And I wanted it. I wanted to do well in college. I wanted to do, I graduated with a biology degree. I loved biology. I love biology. I love everything about life sciences. So I wanted it. And not only did I wanted it really bad, I was going to prove them wrong. I did.
I love that. Yes. I'm so glad that you mentioned the grades aspect because there's this uh, stereotype that you have to be a 4.5, 4.8, 5.0 student. And who knows, maybe some schools do operate that way, but there's so much pressure to go above and beyond. And I'm glad that you didn't stop and that you proved them wrong because nobody can tell you what your potential is, only you know. And thank you also for being so honest about why you didn't pursue the medical career. And it was simply because you just didn't want to work for it that hard. And you know what, there's no shame in that, because we all have our whatever, it may not be becoming a doctor, but it is being this coach that you are to all these amazing people. And the thing is that I'm noticing is that though you didn't pursue becoming a doctor, you still pursued the sciences in your own way. So you went to school, you got your biology degree, you became a psychologist, and you were in practice. You were helping people with therapy, and now you decided to go on all on your own and continue that, but in your own non-traditional way, not in that office where you're tied to a schedule and you have to do things a certain way. So can you tell us a little bit about what that looked like when you began to, when you made that decision of, do I really want to go back to therapy? How did you start build the building blocks of what you do now?
You know, I want to say that here's something that's really important when I said to you that I didn't want it as bad. Now, with this that I'm doing now, do I have sleepless nights? Yes. But you know what's the difference? Is that when I'm doing it, I'm loving it. I love it. I wasn't loving getting, studying to become a doctor. I wasn't feeling that zing, that inner power inside, that inner voice that said, "You are on the right path." I wasn't feeling that. I was just like, "Oh, I just felt tired." And I was like, "Is this really what I want?" Now, am I tired now? But yes, this is what I want because I feel like this is what I'm meant to do and I love it. So, with that being said, transitioning, so even though what I didn't say is that even though I was doing the therapy work and working with a practice which was amazing, it was specifically with a high trauma children and females and women, and it was a family center. I was also working a 9 to 5. Okay. So not only was I working 9 to 5, because the idea was I was going to transition from the 9 to 5 to be doing my therapy and do that full time. But as we all know, there's some helping fields that don't pay as well. And, that would have involved me at that time. I had a family, and I couldn't I couldn't do it at that moment. So I had to give that up, and it really hurt me so badly because the therapy was what I truly, truly loved doing. Now, the 9 to 5, still science. I was a safety and health professional, so still helping people, which I loved, and still working with the sciences. But then transitioning to, okay, do I want this? Is this it? And I'm like, no, this is not it. What do I want to do? Why am I here? Like, why am I in this life?
Mhm.
And it didn't happen until I had that huge weight loss transformation. And I was just posting on social media, Facebook, and saying, hey guys, just did 3 miles. Hey guys, oh, this 5 miles was tough. And then I had all these women that were like, how are you doing this? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, well, I'm doing this and this and that. And they're like, I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what you're doing. I want to know exactly what you're doing. And I'm going to do it. And I thought to myself, wait a second. This is another way I can help people. This is another way that I'm able to fulfill what I truly want to do, which is help people. And I'm still combining that science part, because it's, the physical activity, the mechanics of running. Then there's that nutrition portion of it. And then there's that psychology portion of it, because what happened was, when I did become a coach and I was coaching women, it was a therapy session, because we are having, we're venting, we're tired, we're finally doing our me time, and we're with a bunch of women who are running together, and we're talking, we're discussing our problems, we're discussing our challenges, we're discussing our kids and all the stuff that's happening. And I thought, wait a second, this is exactly what I want. I'm helping women with their physical. I'm helping women with their mental, their mind, their body, their soul, their everything. So that, in my mind, is how I got into this not your average mother runner, which is empowering women through fitness and health and everything in between. Because if your relationships with yourself, with your family, with everybody around is not good, good luck getting on this journey, because it's all connected and it all impacts each other.
Mm, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So, not your average mother runner. That is your podcast, which I enjoy. Usually, I binge listen. I pick a day, and I'm like, okay, what does Lisa have now? Let's listen to all of these because I feel like they're so powerful. The stories that you share on there are incredible, and there's always something to learn from, either from you or your guests. So, tell us a little bit about that podcast.
Yeah. So, I started the podcast thinking, okay, not your average mother runner. And everyone thinks, okay, it's about running. Well, not your average mother. I'm not your average mother. I'm not. I am 46 with a 10-year-old. Considered a quote unquote older mom. Okay. So I'm not your average mom. I'm not your average runner. I didn't start running until late into my 30s and 40s. I'm 46 right now, and I didn't even hit my peak on my speed yet, because this is still, when you compare yourself to other people who've been running track in high school and college, that wasn't me. So I'm not your average mother runner. And with that being said, I went into this podcast thinking, okay, I'm going to just talk about running. I'm going to motivate women to be running. But then every time I brought in someone to talk about that, again, it came into why I started running, or what running did for them. And then there was just this mindset, portion of it. And I decided in my mind, okay, this is not just like I'm not your average mother runner. This is not just a podcast about running. This is a podcast, and I say this in my intro. This is a podcast about empowering women. And then that's when I say through fitness and health and everything in between. So not only do I do bring athletes, I do bring experts. I've had a podiatrist talk about running. I've had running coaches. I had nutritionists, dietitians, all the amazing experts that are going to be talking about running, being active, and physically fit. But now I'm also bringing in women. So I have a series in my podcast called the Independent Woman Experience series, because this is the opportunity for women to share their narrative, to share their stories, and say to another woman, oh, yes, I've been there. And look what I've done. And look where I am now. And it's giving that woman who's at home, who doesn't feel like she has a voice, who feels like she's lost, who feels like, oh, nobody understands what I'm going through, or who feels like I want to leave and I want to change, but how do I do this? And to hear that from another woman that is telling you her story, and that she's now successful leaving a horrific situation, or successful in, rising and empowering herself, is huge. So that's what the podcast is about. But what happened was, not only here I am talking about women empowerment, men started listening to the podcast. And I'm like, I don't get why men are listening to the podcast. And then men started reaching out and saying, you know, we hurt too. We don't have a voice either. We have emotions as well. And then I thought to myself, okay. So I put together this male series, and right now it's really just about men talking about their experiences dating, and how they see women and relationships, and just giving it not just an insight for women, but also an insight for men who's listening. And I've had so many men reach out to me and say, oh my God, that was me. Oh my God, I used to do that to women. Oh my God, you made me think about things. And if that's what I'm doing, if I'm making you think and self-reflect, then I did my job. I did my job.
I love that. And it makes sense that men came to your podcast and were listening and then started speaking out, because I think that in the running space, most of the time, you see more men than women. I am actually a big fan of running. That's one of my favorite things that I had to do in the military. Unfortunately, it takes a toll on your feet and legs when you don't have the right shoes and technique and all that, which is something that I've learned from you listening to your podcast. It was crazy. But yeah, so I think I've heard only one episode so far of the men series, which I really enjoyed. And it's really refreshing because I think that a lot of people at home don't have the courage at first to open up and have those vulnerable conversations. But then if you have a podcast that you're both listening to together, then that allows for that communication to start by just chiming in on, hey, what was your thought on that podcast? What did you think? So I love that. Kudos to you. I love that you did that. The other thing that you have going on, which I'm really excited about, is Clubhouse. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so I'm so excited about Clubhouse. So right now, when Clubhouse, when I was invited, thank God, I can, I'm going to thank my friend, my podcast bestie, as I call him, Richard. He invited me on Clubhouse. And at first I was like, I'm not understanding what this is. This is like a podcast. It's
Mhm.
like a live podcast. Going into different rooms and really learning. Like, I'm just going to sit back and figure this out and learn. And I cannot tell you how much I've learned. Not only, I'm learning about how to run a business, but then I switch over and I'm learning about how to be more self reflective, how to have, strengthen my boundaries. It's like amazing. It's like everything and anything you need, just by listening in. But with that being said, every time that I went into these rooms and you have an opportunity to speak, as I was speaking, I had a lot of people then start following me. And then I had a lot of people say, wow, you said a lot of amazing things. And, where's your podcast? And they started really like looking into what it was I do. So then I'm like, you know what? I need to have a club. I need to put a club together because, I'm bringing in this space. Again, I have this space on Instagram and on now, I have a space on TikTok. I have a space on Facebook. I mean, why not have this space and build community at the clubhouse? So at the clubhouse, I just opened Runners Club for Women. So that just started, and in fact, we're having our first, meeting today. And it's really about, all women talking about running. And it's not just like, women who've been running for years. We're talking about newbies, beginners. How do I begin? And it's not even just how to run. It's about how do I get motivated? I'm a busy mom. I'm a busy woman. What do I do? And I got to tell you, the first room that I opened about running for busy women, it was so emotional, Dolly. Women were crying because they were tired. They were busy. They felt like they were helping everybody but themselves. And we all started talking about we need to start giving to ourselves. And if that includes a 30-minute run, then that's what that is. It's a 30-minute run for us. And that's where that emotional piece comes in with running. I mean, it's your happy pill, it's your therapy. So I just opened that running club for women. And then to piggyback on the Independent Woman Experience series that I have on my podcast, I opened up a club, the Independent Woman Experience, and I'm opening up to every woman for a woman to open up a room and talk about her experiences, anything that has to do with women, whether it's healthcare. How do we take care of ourselves, making those mammo appointments, are educating us about those things, and what do we do when we're too busy, and how do we do self-care, and oh, I don't know how to control my teenager. Everything and anything that has to do with a woman, that impacts a woman. And it's not just a mom. It could be a mom, it could be a single mom, it could be a woman who chooses to be single, it could be any woman that wants to talk about her experiences or educate another woman on something that's impactful to women.
Wonderful. So then you're going to have a running club for women every Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah, so every Saturday, I have the running club for women. It's going to be at noon every Saturday. I do open up a room at 9 a.m. just in general. So you'll see me on the clubhouse. It's not within my running club. It's just at 9 a.m. I'm going to be there and I talk about running. And then with the Independent Woman Experience, this is not just me talking. It's opening up to every woman who wants to educate another woman. So it's not the woman Independent Woman Experience Club is not just me opening a room and talking about independent women and their experiences. It's an opportunity for any woman who wants to open a room within that club. As long as it's about impacting another woman, you're more than welcome to open a room within that club and just completely just continue increasing that empowerment and that education and that inspiring another woman.
Wonderful. So then the Independent Women Experience Club, will that have a set room also every Monday or every Saturday at a certain time?
As of right now, it's not set. I haven't even I'm really opening up for anybody, and eventually I'm going to have a set time. So that hasn't been put together, Dolly. I'm like still trying to figure it out. It's like so much. But eventually I will have a set time, because what I would love to do, without even bringing in other women to come in and open up their own rooms, what I would love to do is also bring the women that I had on my podcast
Mhm.
and to come in and talk about their experiences, and then other women have an opportunity to ask them questions live. So
Ooh,
that is the mission, that's the goal.
I love that. I love that. And I can totally relate with the whole organizing and everything because I'm going through the same process with my own club and other rooms that I have. So, yeah. And lastly, I just want you to mention your Instagram lives that you do every morning. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so funny. So I was a heavy presence on TikTok. Okay, everyone talks about TikTok and they're like, "Oh, I thought that's for kids." Well, the pandemic happened and every adult that was bored out of their mind flocked to TikTok and really to express themselves, which I think is amazing. So, I have this huge presence on TikTok where I'm empowering women. And I was doing a lot of TikTok lives, and the lives were about mindfulness and how can we be better human beings and just sharing our experiences. Well, it was mostly me sharing my experience because you can't bring in another person on TikTok. What happened was I could no longer do any TikTok lives anymore. And then I decided to transfer over to doing Instagram lives, which is even better because now I can bring in people to talk with me, to express themselves and tell just share their stories. And it's Monday through Friday, believe it or not, at 6 a.m. And yes, there's a handful of them that wake up every morning and come onto the live. And then on the weekends it's at 10 a.m. What are these lives about? What are we talking about? I mean, I can tell you right now, we have talked about, mindset. We've talked about how we can take a bad experience. What are the things that we can do when we have a bad experience and turn it into something positive? My whole mission on doing those lives is to give people hope that they can do things, they can overcome. And I got to tell you, Dolly, there have been women and men who requested to come up on the live, and I know that's always like a, risk because I don't know who these people are, and they come up and I got to tell you what they share. Amazing. Amazing. Whether it's the woman that talked about how she works hard, she has two jobs, but she knows, and she has a some sort of immune disorder, and yet she's grateful for every day that she wakes up. She came onto my live out of nowhere. I brought her in and she's talking. The Everyone was like, the room was crazy. Everyone's like typing in all this positivity. It was like amazing because here she is talking about, I have this condition, I work my butt off. Hey, I don't have it all, but you know what? I am grateful that I can get up, get out of bed, and I have another chance to live another amazing day. So that's really what those IG lives are about, is just inspiring, empowering, sharing stories, and just doing the good work.
Yes, I think I got the tail end of that one. And my gosh, yes. Because I do jump in usually around 6:30, closer to 7. And I have enjoyed them. And I've realized I love going into them because this is literally the first thing that I listen to in the morning. And it's always positive. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. So, Lisa, we've spoken a lot about everything that you're doing, which is amazing. I don't know how you do it with all that time and all, but how can people, where is the best place where people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on all the social media platforms. So I'm gonna like, because I sometimes forget. So I'm definitely on I'm on Instagram. And I will say this right now with Instagram, I am in the process of rebranding. So even though I have Not Your Average Mother Runner podcast, I am going to be rebranding as Not Another Mother Runner. And I'm trying not to confuse people, but it will eventually be Not Another Mother Runner. So on Instagram, I'm Not Another Mother Runner. But with that being said, and eventually everything will transfer to that name, you can also find me on my podcast, and that is on, iTunes, Spotify, everywhere you can hear, podcasts, and that is still under the name Not Your Average Mother Runner. And you can also find me on my website, which is www.notyouraveragemotherrunner.com. I hope to God I'm not like confusing people. And then right now on TikTok, if you want to follow me on TikTok, I am known as Not Another Mother Runner One on TikTok. Those are the places you can find me.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, there you go. So TikTok, Instagram, your website, Clubhouse, you're everywhere. So thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing about your journey and how you help people, and also for allowing your passion and joy and enthusiasm to shine through during this conversation.
Oh, well, Dolly, thank you so much for this opportunity. I always enjoy, talking about my experiences. And I got to tell you, every time that I do it, it is really a moment where I'm like, how, first of all, how do I do this? And secondly, wow, I really love what I'm doing. So I want to thank you for allowing me to experience that once again and giving me the space to share my story.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you see, there are so many resources available to you, and you don't have to pay for them. There's a lot of stuff going on that's free on many different platforms. Like you heard Lisa say, she's on TikTok, she's on podcasts, she's on Clubhouse, Instagram, and she does her lives. So I highly recommend joining those 6 a.m. lives if you can, if you're already up that early, because the stories that she shares and the messages, they really help set the foundation of how your day is going to feel. So thank you once again for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, click that little bell so that you're alerted every time I publish a new video. And don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter so that you can get resources, updates on upcoming events, upcoming guests, and much, much more. So until next time,